My word, Acheron could not come any sooner because I am losing my absolute mind. The more that these animated shorts and trailers come out, the more I'm just absolutely going bonkers for her. The fact that we had an animated trailer where it was literally just constant flirtations between Black Swan and Acheron, and then it turns into this whole crazy thing. I was just stun locked through that whole thing. But we're not here to talk about how crazy that was. We're here to talk about how you should build your Acheron level 1 to level 80, and of course what you could do for a possible build. So before we get into that, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell to be notified of when the next Honkai Star Rail video comes out. And of course I am sponsored by the ever wonderful Gamer Subs. That's right, use code TASH for 10% off, as we just got AFK, which is a brand new sleep aid. That's right, an energy drink company is making sleep aid with the use of magnesium and no use for melatonin. So make sure you check that out. Use code TASH for 10% off. But without any further delay, let's go ahead and dive right into Acheron. Now, of course, the first things first, we're going to talk about how we're going to ascend our Acheron, right? So let's go ahead and dive into that. First things first, you're going to need 15 of these Dream Collector components, 15 of the Dream Flow Valves, and 15 of the Dream Making Machines. Now, these are dropped from overworld enemies in Penacony, so make sure you go ahead and get those ASAP rocky. Then, of course, you're going to need these, the Shapeshifters Lightning Staff, which come from the Navalia Stagnant Shadow, which also in conjunction you could use to farm Kafka and, of course, Jingyuan. So, very easy. You get about 5 of these with each run, so of course you're going to need to do it 13 times and add about 240 of the Trailblaze power. It will not take you that long because it does cost 30, so 8 times a day you'll be able to get it done by day 2. Pretty satisfactory. Now, of course, let's talk about the trace materials, which are a little bit different, but we're going to go ahead and start with the same things here. So you're going to need 41 more of the Dream Collection components, which is going to put you at 56 in total. You're going to need 56 more of the Dream Flow Valves, which is going to put you at 71 in total, and then followed by 58 more of the Dream Making Engines, and that is going to be 73 more. Now, I didn't say this in the previous thing, but remember your rules of 3. 3 of these Dream Collection components are going to make the Dream Flow Valves, and 3 of the Dream Flow Valves will make the Dream Making Engines. So again, rules of 3 are always going to play a prominent role within your, grinding per se. Now, let's go ahead and also talk about the new item that we're going to be farming, which is a Penacony staple, the Fiery Spirits, which are the Nihility-based stuff that comes from the calyxes, right? The red calyxes. So these are the Penacony ones. So you're going to need 18 in total of the Fiery Spirits. You're going to need 69 of the Starfire Essences, followed by 139 of the Heaven Incinerators. And again, rules of 3. 3 of your Fiery Spirits are going to make a Starfire Essence. 3 of the Starfire Essences, 3 of the Starfire Essences are going to make your Heavenly Incinerator. Now, you're also going to need these, the Past Evils of the Borehole Planet Disaster, which we talk about these all the dang time. You get these from the Swarm King, or the Swarm Disaster, whatever you want to call it, boss fight that released, I believe it was 1.5, so make sure you farm that. You could farm it up to 3 times a week, getting up to 9 in total. So you only need to farm this for 2 weeks in a row and you're good. Then you're also going to need 8 Tracks of Destiny, which these drop like candy, so you're not going to have to worry too much about that. And then in total, 3.3 million credits. Now, before we get into actually building Acheron, right, let's go ahead and talk about her abilities, because she pulls off some crazy stuff. Now, first things first, let's talk about the Octobolt Flash skill, which is a blast, and it will hit a single target. Gain 1 point of Slash Stream, inflict 1 stack of Crimson Knot on a single target enemy, dealing lightning damage equal to 200% of Acheron's attack to this target, as well as lightning damage equal to 75% of Acheron's attack to the adjacent targets. So remember when I said single target? It's not. Scratch what I said there, because I don't know what I was trying to say, but it hits the single target, it hits the adjacents. You're going to be doing a lot of lightning damage with that. So, and those stacks are 1 point of Slash Stream and the Crimson Knot. We're going to find out more about that here in just a little bit. Now let's go ahead and go into the ultimate here. Now the first things first is you're going to see the energy regeneration is 0. It's going to cost you 0. Why? Because you don't need energy regeneration rate with your Acheron. Let's go ahead and talk about that. So Slash Dream Cries in red is a AoE. Sequentially unleash. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading today. Sequentially unleash Rainblade 3 times and Stygian Resurge 1 time, dealing lightning damage up to 446.4% of Acheron's attack to a single target enemy, as well as lightning damage equal to 360% of Acheron's attack to the other enemies. Now, this is where her ultimate gets a little crazy, right? Rainblade deals lightning damage equal to 28.8% of Acheron's attack to a single target enemy and removes up to 3 stacks of Crimson Knot from the target. When Crimson Knot is removed, immediately deals lightning damage equal to 18% of Acheron's attack to all enemies. For every stack of Crimson Knot removed, the damage multiplier for this is additionally increased up to a maximum of 72%, and Stygian Research deals lightning damage equal to 144% of Acheron's attack to all enemies and removes all Crimson Knots. Crimson Knot cannot be applied to enemies during the ultimate. Now, bear in mind that this ultimate will hit 4 times the entire time, and you get to pick the enemy that you deal that damage to. That is why this freaking ultimate is so dang good. And then let's go ahead and add the traces here. We have the Thunder Core trace. When Rainblade from Acheron's ultimate hits enemy targets with Crimson Knot, her damage is increased by 30%, stacking up to 3 times and lasting for 3 turns, and when Stygian Research triggers, additionally deals damage for 6 times. Each time deals lightning damage equal to 25% of Acheron's attack to a single random enemy and is viewed as part of ultimate damage. Freaking busted amount of damage that you're going to be pulling off with this chick. Now, let's go ahead and talk about her talent here. Atop Rain Leaf hangs oneness. When Slash Dream reaches 9 points, which is her ultimate, the ultimate can be activated. During the ultimate, reduces enemies' toughness regardless of weakness types and reduces all enemies' all-type resistance by 25%, lasting until the end of the ultimate. When any unit inflicts debuffs to the enemy target while using this ability, Acheron gains 1 point of Slash Dream and inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot on the target. If debuffs are inflicted on multiple targets, then the 1 stack of Crimson Knot will be inflicted to the enemy target with the most Crimson Knot stacks, and this effect can only be triggered once per every ability usage. After the enemy target exits the field and gets destroyed by any unit while Acheron is on the field, their Crimson Knot stacks will be transferred to the enemy target with the most Crimson Knot stacks on the whole field, which is pretty nuts because, again, Crimson Knot is just going to play such a key role into this kit, and you're going to be able to unleash it even when you destroy the previous enemy because it's just going to stack. We got bonus traces here. Red Oni. When battle starts, immediately gains 5 points of Slash Dream and applies 5 stacks of Crimson Knot to the random enemy. When Slash Dream reaches its upper limit, for every point of Slash Dream that exceeds the limit, gain 1 stack of dude, I hate how they use these words, man. Quadrivalent Ascendance. Increases the maximum stackable count for Quadrivalent Ascendance to 3 stacks. I have to slow it down because my lips don't want to work all that well and my tongue is going crazy. And then of course you got the Abyss. When there are 1 or 2 Nihility characters other than Acheron in the team, the damage dealt by Acheron's base attack, skill, and ultimate increases to 150% or 160% of the original damage respectively. So pairing her with other Nihility characters is a good thing. So if you have the full mommy squad of Acheron, Kafka, and Black Swan, like me, you're gonna be a very, very happy camper. Now let's go ahead and talk about the technique here. Technique: Quadrivalent Ascendance, which is what we just talked about. Immediately attacks the enemy at the start of each wave, gains Quadrivalent Ascendance, dealing lightning damage equal to 200% of Acheron's attack to all enemies, and reducing toughness of all enemies irrespective of weakness types. When weakness is broken, triggers the lightning weakness break effect. Quadrivalent Ascendance. After using the ultimate, Acheron gains 1 point of Slash Dream and inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot on a single random enemy. If attacking a normal enemy, immediately defeats them with an without entering combat. When not hitting any enemies, no technique points are consumed. So basically you just are like, boom, I'm gonna hit you and you're just gonna die. That is her to a freaking T, right? I had to take a swig of water because I'm getting thirsty on Acheron here. So we do have more Rain Blade. It's just basically the extra hits that are going to happen during Rain Blade. So she's pretty dang busted, in my opinion. And I think she can get even more busted with more Eidolons. A lot of people are saying to go for the Eidolon 2. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I want to see why people are saying go for Eidolon 2 here. So Eidolon 2 Mute Thunder is still Tempest. The number of Nihility characters required for the Trace the Abyss to achieve its highest possible effects is reduced by 1. When this unit's turn starts, gain 1 point of Slash Stream and inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot on the enemy with the most Crimson stack. So I don't think that's necessarily needed, because pairing her with Kafka and Black Swan I think is really, really good. But I will say this, that it does help out a lot with only needing a Kafka or a Black Swan, or even a Pella or other, you know, just Nihility characters in general. So she does have potential to do really, really well with that. But let's go ahead and talk about some light cones. We already know her best light cone is going to be her own light cone, and a lot of people have said that she can't really operate too well without this one. This is called Along the Passing Shore. Increases the wearer's crit damage by 36%, and when the wearer hits the enemy target, inflicts empty bubbles on the enemy, lasting for 1 turn. This effect can be triggered 1 time against each target for every attack the wearer launches. The wearer deals 24% more damage to targets afflicted with empty bubbles, and damage from the wearer's ultimate additionally increases by 24%. So basically you're just doing a lot more damage with empty bubbles. I don't think it's necessarily needed, but this light cone is pretty busted in general. But if you don't want to use that, you could use another 5-star light cone known as Incessant Rain. Increase the wearer's effect hit rate by 24%, and when the wearer deals damage to an enemy that currently has 3 or more debuffs, increases the wearer's crit rate by 12%. After the wearer uses their basic attack, skill, or ultimate, there is a 100% base chance to implant Aether Code on a random hit target that does not have it. Targets with Aether Code receive 12% increased damage for 1 turn. So if you have this one and you don't want to go for Acheron's light cone, you can do that. Although the tried and true 4-star light cone is still good night and sleep well. For every debuff the target enemy has, the damage dealt by the wearer increases by 12%, stacking up to 3 times, so you can go up to 36% from here. And then we also have this light cone, which has been suggested for Mana. For Mana, increases the wearer's break effect by 16% and increases their damage to enemies afflicted with shock and wind shear by 16%. This is really good if you're going to team her up with Kafka and Black Swan. So this is a very good and solid option. However, I would say for the free-to-play players, Good Night and Sleep Well is still the main cheese in this whole one. Like, it's just that dang good in my opinion. So definitely would say that. But if you are going for the light cone, go for the light cone. This thing is busted in general. Like, come on now. Now, we were talking about some of these stats, and the main stats that you want to focus on with Acheron, especially since you don't have to worry about energy regeneration rate, are crits, speed, attack, and break. Pretty simple for a DPS, right? So let's go ahead and talk about a relic that works really, really well with Acheron here. This is the Pioneer Diver of Dead Waters. Increases damage dealt to enemies with debuffs by 12% on the 2-piece, and the 4-piece increases crit rate by 4%. The wearer deals 8 or 12% increased crit damage to enemies with at least 2 to 3 debuffs. See why it's important to have her paired with other Nihility characters giving more debuffs? After the wearer inflicts a debuff on the enemy targets, the aforementioned effects increase by 100%, lasting for 1 turn. It's a no-brainer, farm this set. It's a no-brainer. You will cause so much achy breaky hearts with this set right here. Do not look into a 2-piece. I don't think you should focus on that. I think you should absolutely focus on a 4-piece Pioneer Diver of Dead Waters. But let's go ahead and talk about the other sets that you're going to need as a 2-piece follow-up. from, you know, World 9, we do have the new Izumo Gensei and Takama Divine Realm. Increase the wearer's attack by 12%, and when entering battle, if at least one other ally follows the same path as the wearer, then the wearer's crit rate will increase by 12%. Why is this important? Because again, you're probably going to be pairing her with either Black Swan, Kafka, or both. Makes the most sense to have this, right? Another great set is Glameth. I think Glameth works really, really well. Wearer's attack is increased by 12%, and when the wearer's speed is equal to or higher than 135, 160, the wearer deals 12% or 18% more damage. So that's a really good one if you want to go for the more damage set. Now, you could go for this inert Salcedo, which always seems to be the bridesmaid and never the bride in regards to being the top set to use for DPS. So increase the wearer's crit rate by 8%, and when the wearer's current crit rate reaches 50% or higher, the wearer's ultimate and follow-up damage increases by 15%. For me, I would say Izumo is your best bet, but World 9's not out yet, so you need to farm something to be able to use, you know, Acheron. It's just how it is. So I would definitely say if you have the inert Salcedos sitting there and you can hit that 50% crit rate, yeah, I think it's possible. Just have 42 and then put this on and you're all set. However, Glameth is still that set that I feel always works out in your favor. So go for Glameth. I think Glameth would be the set to go for in this instance until you get a two-piece Izumo. Now, what are you going to need for your pioneers, right? So obviously we already talked about crits, speed, attack, break. Perfect, right? But for your chess piece, it should be crit rate or crit damage depending on what you need, especially if you're going to use something like Glameth for now. Really take that into account. Your boots should be speed or attack percentage. And the reason why I say attack percentage is because she's going to be busted with the amount of damage that she's able to pull off. So you might want to consider just going for the overall, like, just big beefy damage, right? Which would also put you in a very bad spot when it comes to Glameth, because you do want to make sure you get that speed, right? But you got to think about Izumo, because Izumo is going to basically give you so much for little work. Now, when it comes to these sets, right, your main focus should be lightning damage, right? Lightning damage percentage or attack percentage. You could go either or on the orb, which is pretty crazy to me. And then of course for your chain, attack percentage. Attack percentage is going to play a big role for Acheron because of how much she's going to be able to do on that attack. So overall, what I think you should do is level up your traces all the way for Acheron because she definitely deserves it. Put yourself on a Lycaon that works, either a 4-star Good Night and Sleep Well, or the 5-star Along the Passing Shore. Sorry, it's early in the morning. So 5-star Along the Passing Shore or Good Night, Sleep Well for the 4-star. Go for a Pioneer set because that is what you need. Crit rate, crit damage on your chest piece, or for your boots, you could do speed or attack percentage. And then of course for your two-piece, Izumo is the way to go, but it's not out yet. So get a Glameth to work for that until you can get Izumo. Acheron's crazy. Acheron is crazy both as the character personality and as a character herself. I'm so excited for Acheron. I'm so excited for her because she seems like she's just going to be a lot of fun in general, and it's going to change the game a little bit. Now, is she going to be outpacing a lot of the meta? 100%. I think that ultimately when it comes to Acheron, the meta is going to change because of her. But is that a bad thing? Maybe, maybe not. But of course, with anniversary units, I think that's what's always going to happen. And that's going to be it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to check out the ever wonderful gamer subs. Use code TYSTER for 10% off, of course. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to entertain you. We will be back again with another Honkai Star Rail video very, very soon. And of course, as always, we will catch you in said next video. Please take care and be safe.